Hey, what's up guys? In this video, I want to answer a question that I see everywhere. And it's a question I got from a viewer, but it's also a question that is so prevalent among young people. And that's basically the question of, oh, I'm already in my late 20s or mid 20s or early 20s. And it seems like most of my life is already over. Is it too late for me to achieve success? Now, this question is just everywhere. You see it on Quora, you see it on blogs, you see it here and there, YouTube and so forth. And I think it's a question that has a lot of truth behind it, and there's a lot of reasons why it comes up. A lot of young people are really not insecure, but it just seems to them like the world is over or it's downhill from here. And it's something that I've struggled with as well. And boy, do I have an answer for you. I think out of most people who can help answer this, I've gone through the ringer on this as well and experienced all the emotions behind it. And I really think that I can provide some great examples and answers to this question. Now, this is just my theories and just my experiences, but they may help because I got these experiences by learning from tons of successful people and unsuccessful people. So it's really the experiences of the hundreds of people that I'm standing on the shoulders of. So to answer your question, your life is not over. It's just at the beginning, if you believe it so. You're just starting your journey. You're just getting started. Just like the internet. A lot of people say that the internet's over or it's too late to get started because they're too far behind. But in all honesty, I mean, assuming humanity keeps going for the next 1,000 years, 500 years, and so forth, this is just the beginning of the internet. It's just like the baby infant stage of the internet. Now, it's progressed tremendously, but we have such a long way to go, and it's exciting to see where it goes. And that's something that I didn't believe or understand until very recently. Now, first off, let me just applaud you and tell you that you're an awesome person for seeking personal development. And let me explain to you why it's partially not your fault to why you feel this way, because you see it all around you, your culture, society. There's a grain of truth in why you believe that, you know, the best years of your life are behind you. Just think about it. The female fertility years pretty much peak around your age. So for a lot of females, their most beautiful, youthful years, the years that they're most attractive, are, you know, from 21 to maybe 28 years of age. And that has a lot to do with how we used to live our lives. For a lot of years before this, hundreds if not thousands, most people settled down, married, had children around 21. And of course, a lot has changed now, and there have been a lot of successful women who have had children later, which I think you should. There's a lot of maturing and development, and there's also, I mean, I don't want to get too deep, but there's like science behind it. There's cultural shifts. There's the fact that we live a lot longer thanks to the discovery of penicillin and antibiotics, which is probably the main push for this longevity in life. And so we're able to live a lot longer, and therefore we can take our time to mature, think smarter, make better decisions, and not marry people or have kids to people that we shouldn't have kids to or marry at a young age. And so life has kind of prolonged. And basically, it's not something where you have to be, it's not like your life is over at a young age. And now we're going to get to the examples and reasoning behind why, if you believe so, and you work towards it, this is simply the beginning of your life. I want to start with a story by Phil Knight. Phil Knight, he's the founder of Nike, one of the most well-established, globally recognized, successful, profitable businesses in the world. People recognize that logo more than most other logos out there. It's that check mark. Now, with Nike, he as of this year, he wrote a book and released it called Shoe Dog, and this is a book that really blew my mind when I was going through it, because you assumed like the founder of Nike to be some like untouchable legend who was probably killing it at a young age. And I do think there are people like that. For example, another billionaire, Mark Cuban, he says that like since the time he was born, he was on top of the world and just destroying everything and doing really well. Was that really true? Maybe it was just perception. I heard he had poor grades in school. But the point is, Phil Knight was not like this at all. Now, was he a total flop? Not exactly. He went to a prestigious Ivy League business school, but when he was my age, and this is where it blows my mind, like he was in a lot of ways behind me. Sure, he went to this great school, but you know, he was confused with what to do. He had a job he hated. He had none of the access or knowledge of all the successful people and all the books that I've been able to consume, and all the personal development advice and thousands of interviews from millionaires that I've been able to watch for free from YouTube or podcasts or wherever else. And he was pretty much a bit of a lost boy, yet he was also very willing to pursue his crazy little idea of starting a shoe business. And I think that really saved him. But really, he was, in certain ways, a lot like me. He really liked running as a hobby, which got him into selling shoes. But, I mean, he didn't have the productivity or initiative that a lot of people have now. And I think part of that has to do with the fact that the internet has really leveled the playing field in a lot of ways and given people resources to have a higher level of a head start than ever before. And so for Phil, I don't even know if it would have helped, because he was definitely an outdoorsy person. I don't know if he would have touched the internet. But the point is that this guy was kind of shy, kind of awkward, kind of scared, timid, and inexperienced about the world. And there's a few stories in the book where this just showed. Like, he bought one suit that was pretty crappy to try and pitch his business idea to these like corporate Japanese guys in Japan, and he stuttered and like screwed up the whole thing. And then from I don't know why they did it, blind luck, for some reason they approved his idea. And then another time he was just as like, you know, awkward and scared when he made his first partnership with his former high school coach. And he literally had no negotiation skills, no ability to hold his ground, all the stuff that I've developed more than him in certain ways. I'm not saying I'm good at it, but it really just blew my mind, because it really just reminded me and just gave me some leverage, and it just showed me that, hey, relax a bit. You know, you're not that far behind. Stop beating yourself up. Now, another thing is just the whole idea behind it. You know, Phil Knight or even Warren Buffett, someone's like the world's most successful people. Yeah, in certain ways, they were doing well, but in all honesty, on a bigger picture level, whether it was Bill Gates, Warren Buffett, any of those people at 23, 22, 24 years of age, no one knew who they were. They weren't these billionaire leaders of the world. They were unknown. Warren Buffett was just graduating business school, and no one knew who he was. No one believed he would get rich, but he loved studying and learning from his mentor, Benjamin Graham. And that's probably one of the only people who knew of his existence at the time, and he wasn't making ridiculous money yet. So don't rush yourself Be in for the long game. A lot of people, they just compare themselves to someone who's like 50 years older than them, who's had all this time to develop themselves. Make a legitimate comparison by age, by, you know, something where it's comparable. Maybe you shouldn't even compare yourself to the best people on earth like Warren Buffett in the first place. And I mean, the list goes on and on. Bill Gates, again, he was, you know, just getting Microsoft up and running. He was still competing with Apple. No one knew who he was at this young age. Same thing with Steve Jobs. Same thing with whoever you want to call it. S. Truett Cathy. This guy is worth over $2 billion, recently died, founded one of the most successful private companies, and one of my favorite fast food joints, Chick-fil-A. He wrote numerous books on how he succeeded. At 24, no one knew who this kid was. He was just this guy who was, you know, running a restaurant. Same thing with Sam Walton of Walmart. He was just this guy who loved what he was doing, which was running a single convenience store. And he had no idea what the future held. He didn't know he was going to build this multi-billion-dollar establishment called Walmart that would end up taking over the entire world. It's a slow process. So I think it's interesting how, you know, you have to have big dreams, but at the same time, none of these people really let their big dreams intimidate them or overwhelm them. A lot of them they just enjoyed the process, and that's kind of how compounding and the compound effect works. You know, it's incremental progress over time. Most of us underestimate what we can do in 10 years, but we overestimate what we can do in 1 or 2 years. And by the nature of humans, we're very impatient beings. And I think one of the lessons from all these examples, and there's plenty more, you can Google successful people who weren't successful until they were older, or you can Google phrases like millionaires who didn't graduate from high school. There's even infographics on this. There's this like incredible infographic by a website called Funders and Founders, and basically they have like this huge infographic of all these like super successful people who did not achieve success until their 50s or 60s or 70s. And one common theme and pattern behind all this is that, one, they hacked it so that, well, they didn't even hack it. Just naturally, they enjoyed the process of getting there more than the destination. And it may seem cliche, you know, Miley Cyrus has written a song about it. Well, she didn't write the song. She sung the song. Someone else wrote it. She wrote the song The Climb. It's about the journey, not the destination. And yet most people, they hear these songs, the lyrics go in one ear out the other, and they don't really take it to heart. And all these people really love what they did. And so you really have to question, why do you want that success so badly? And is it worth it? Because I'm telling you, another huge thing I see with a lot of these interviews of millionaires that I listen to is that a lot of them, they get there and they're like, is this it? I don't feel any happier. I feel unfulfilled. And then they go on this whole journey of religious or whatever else to chase happiness, because they found that the goal that they thought they wanted was not what they wanted. So, I mean, I have my own content on that, on the science of happiness and how money relates to that. I take a very practical, scientific approach rather than what most other entrepreneurs do. Some turn to religion, some turn to like their own ideas and theories. But the point is that you really have to understand or ask yourself, what's the big reason why you're doing this, and what's the big rush for success? And if you're just someone who's already at peace with all that, and you just want that boost of, can I still succeed? You definitely can. And there's even people who really didn't get their big break until their 50s, 60s, and 70s. Just to give you two, there's Colonel Sanders of KFC, he didn't start the thing until his late 60s. Now KFC is a global brand, and it has more of a presence in China than McDonald's. KFCs are McDonald's in China. They are more prevalent than Starbucks or McDonald's in China, because I don't know why. They got there first. They match their market with the customers. They have a different menu there. I'll tell you that. But that's just incredible. And then there's Ray Kroc of McDonald's, who worked mainly as a salesman until his late 50s. And that's when he finally discovered McDonald's and grew that into this global brand. So another huge lesson is persistence. You know, it's not something where even if you're doing the right thing, you're going to see instant results. It just takes time, sometimes lots of failure, but you can get there eventually. And you definitely can if that's what your stumbling block is. You definitely can if you can succeed. And it's not completely your fault. I do think that even to this day, and I think it will be this way for a while, for a lot of people, I see this as well. All their friends, all their family, their coworkers, whatever else, peers, they're all getting married, they're settling down. A lot of them have convinced themselves or resigned themselves to believing that they can't succeed anymore, or that this is their lot in life, that they will just have this mediocre job that pays a mediocre salary, and now they're going to have to settle down with a mediocre average spouse and live the rest of their lives. And they've kind of just accepted that fate. And partially, biologically, they will adjust. Science has kind of shown that as far as your spouse is concerned, even if they're not the best spouse in the world, to a certain degree, you can adjust. So if they're not the prettiest, you can still adjust to find them pretty over time. It's kind of like a biological gauge for humans to survive, because not everyone can have the hottest girl. But so the point is that it's not completely your fault, because there is a lot of culture and society and what you see on Facebook or Instagram or just in person, where everyone else seems to be settling down, and it just seems like this is it for me. That's the end of the road. But that is definitely not the case if you don't want it to be. If you have hope, and if you have dreams. And so just understand that it is possible, and you cannot rely on just because it partially being not your fault to just sit back and be lazy. You have to actually go out and do it and actually make a difference. And for me, I remember a while ago, I pictured that mediocre life, and that's how I used to think. And this was before I got into personal development and read all these accounts and biographies of successful people, and had all these case studies that I mentioned for you. Back then, I had it even worse, and I wasn't as fortunate enough to have the information I'm providing you. And I remember it vividly because I was in an emotional wreck to a certain extent, where I was just like, I pictured my future, and I just pictured like a mediocre future where I was like tolerating an annoying mediocre wife that I didn't find attractive and was really annoying, and I had like this mediocre job, and it's because I was just average, pretty much average for a lot of my life, even though there was always like this deep fire inside that somehow, some way I wanted to be incredible, world-changing, not just average. And there I was just picturing my future, and it wasn't the first time I'd done this, and it just seemed like this was the inevitable outcome. Like, just based off the progression, I didn't see any other way based off my past. Yet, here's where I decided things were different. I said, you know what? There's no way that I would ever accept an existence like that. I don't know how I'm going to accomplish it, but in some way, some shape or form, I will have a great life. And I said that even though at that moment it seemed like there's like 99% chance it wasn't possible, because like I just didn't see any other possibilities. It just didn't seem like a possibility. I wasn't really world class at anything, wasn't that great at anything. I didn't see any real potential, even though I'd asked around and talked to a lot of people of different paths I could go. But I think that type of belief helps, but I would have been even better off if I had the information that I'm telling you now, because then it wouldn't have just been foolish, blind, emotional faith simply as a reaction to a life I didn't want. It would have been, hey, this is actually possible because you have this, and this example to prove it. And in conclusion, one last thing I want to share with you and remind you is that yes, you can succeed despite you being older. Your life is just getting started. I mean, early 20s, people are going to like punch you in the face when you like complain that you're old. But, and here's the big but, make sure you have it set up so that you enjoy the journey just as much as the destination. Really find something you enjoy doing. And also make it so that you really have good motives for why you're getting there. Sure, if part of the reason is for the money and the enjoyment or the fame or the achievements or whatever else, go ahead. But realize that that alone may not be enough, because once you get there, it might be like, was this really worth all the hassle for just this? And you realize it doesn't make you that much happier. Or the second thing is because if it's not a strong enough motivator and you don't have a reason beyond just money or fame, it will not push you through the tough times to get you there. Maybe here's just a few examples of stronger motivators that some people use. Arnold Schwarzenegger, Michael Jordan, they want to be number one, the best in the world. Oprah Winfrey, she wanted to make a huge impact and uplift the consciousness of people. I have no idea what that means, but that's what she said. Uplift the consciousness. I guess she just means have a higher impact on people through her platform. Now she's a female African-American billionaire, talk show host, extraordinaire. But those are just examples, and maybe you don't have to have as strong a motivator as that. Steve Jobs, Warren Buffett, they just love what they did so much. And it wasn't so much that they wanted to, do something charitable. It was more so they just love what they did. And so try and hack that into your equation and just kind of enjoy it. And I guess the final PS bit of advice would just be, as a bonus, sometimes we think that, we'll have to do this and that, and then only 60 years out will I finally be able to achieve that goal and be happy or enjoy my life to where I want it to. And in reality, you can end up getting there a lot sooner, or enjoying life, or finding some way of getting there while moving towards a goal. So a concrete example would be, I want to one day visit Bora Bora and the Bahamas, and the only way is to work 40 plus years until I'm 65 when I can retire and get there. Is that really true? Maybe not. What if you work there? What if you study abroad? What if you work abroad? What if you become an English translator? Blah, blah, blah. There's like a lot of travel hack blogs that really explain this in detail. Tim Ferriss and his blog 4 Hour Workweek does too, etc., etc. Or another example is maybe you think the only way that I can ever succeed and marry a great wife is if I work for 50 years and then I become a millionaire, and then I could show off that money, because that's the only way a woman would like me. Now, notice those false assumptions there. But people do this all this time. They have these extreme, absolute false assumptions, and some people cannot be convinced otherwise. And so you can let them shoot themselves in their foot. But if you have that ability to have an open mind, then just think about it. Is that really true? Maybe there's more that meets the eye than just money. Maybe women, kind of like men, care more about a spouse or potential partner than just how much money they're making, especially if they're already making a lot of money themselves. I mean, just think about it. Like, what do you think? What occurs to you when you look for a partner? Maybe how smart they are. Are they a good caretaker? Will they be good parents? Are they compassionate? Are they kind? Are they intelligent? Blah, 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 blah. So maybe you can actually get there a lot sooner by doing this or that, or cultivating your other traits. Or let me just throw in the last example. Maybe you think that you can only have fulfillment if you one day visit Las Vegas and dance at an EDM show. But you think you can only get there by doing this and this. Try and find a shortcut to your route rather than this roundabout 13-year journey to get to that destination, much longer than it has to be. Now, just from personal experience, it's not a lot, easier said than done. It's actually a lot harder done, because yes, you could become a tour guide in the Bahamas, but that's still not maybe like your ideal situation. Maybe you actually just want to relax there, buy a resort, and sit there and not have to translate English or give a tour to visit the Bahamas. So arguably, if that's really your goal, and you have to get crystal clear on what exactly is your definitive purpose, it may require more work. But the point is just to get your gears grinding and give you some more insights beyond just giving you encouragement and reasons on so that you believe that you can achieve your goal despite how old you think you are. But to give you some more insight so that your ladder is not propped on the wrong building. And I might be getting too philosophical there, but what I mean by that is there's like this very common personal development quote that says, make sure that your ladder is propped on the wrong building so that when you get to the top of the ladder, you actually, enjoyed the building that you got onto. It's a stupid quote, but it pretty much means the same thing. Make sure that you have the right destination. Thanks for watching. Subscribe. See you in the next video. Peace.